Bye. Welcome you to our Ostomy and Diet webinar today. This is definitely one of our very popular webinar series, and I am happy to repeat it as often as it needs to be said because there's some really important information in here today. So we already have quite a little crowd going, so we're going to get started, dive right in. And you might also you'll see me as Siobhan, your presenter today. You might also see my co-host, Ariha, who is helping me drive the show from behind the scenes. So let's get on to our what's going to happen. So first today, we're going to go over who is Better Health, because you may be wondering who I am, why am I giving this this webinar, and who I work for. We're going to be talking about why diet is so important. Diet plays a huge role in helping us not only just live our daily lives with our ostomies, but especially right after surgery as we're healing, it can support our function and healing. It can also make us feel better, more alert, and let us participate more fully once our ostomies are kind of up to speed, and giving us more function as we grow and adapt. Next, we'll go over, there's not just nutrition, the foods, and when we say diet, a lot of people think about foods, but there's also avoiding dehydration. Dehydration is actually a very, very big problem for people with certain types of ostomies. And then we'll go over some common problems and how to fix them. And I'll have some demonstration material so that everyone can not just listen to me describe the problem, but also see exactly what I'm talking about and how to address it. And then finally, we're going to do a Q&A. We'll have a chance to have everybody stop and answer their questions, unmute yourselves, put yourself on video, turn this into a little bit of a community forum. So with that being said, when we do that, if you do check at the bottom of your screen, we have a Q&A function. In your Zoom channel, you should also see a chat function, a little chat. So both of those are perfectly great ways to add your questions to the conversation. Even if I'm going along and you see something that makes you go, wait, I don't really understand what she said. That's the opportunity for you. Those places are the opportunity for you to ask your questions. So to go on, let's talk a little bit about who Better Health is, who we are, and why are we here today. So Better Health Supplies is a type of medical provider, and we're a new type of medical provider that takes a holistic view of our health, your healthcare journey, and my healthcare journey, because I actually also have an ostomy. We provide educational resources, just like this webinar series. They're free, they're open to the public. We also have a coaching program to help you overcome like specific challenges that you might be having with your condition. So the coaching program is for ostomates. You will be putting links to the coaching program in our chat, so please feel free to take advantage of those. And then of course, not just, with the coaching and the educational resources, including fireside chats. We just had one on Tuesday with experts in the field, with people who've had ostomies for years. We also have help you find the right products for your condition. So, having the right bag, having the right barrier are so key and so essential to making sure that you have a good experience with your products. That we have people on staff who have had extensive training with ostomy products. They know what to recommend. They know what problems that you might bring to them and how to suggest products that might help with that. So, we're not just a medical supply company, we're actually a medical provider. And that's why we are here today. On screen, you'll be seeing a picture of Nama. Nama is our CEO and founder of Better Health. And she had this vision from starting the company that there's this huge gap between when people leave the hospital, when they're discharged, and then when they are coming home, and there's, often there's a missing education, there's missing support, there's missing knowledge around how to get your supplies. So, that was Nama's vision, is that, people really need um, a diverse array of things that will allow them to not only just adjust with their ostomies, but also to thrive and have a fulfilling, amazing life with your ostomy. You'll also see a picture of Ariha. Ariha and I work together on the content and education teams, and she is the one who's going to help support us today in questions in the chat and that sort of thing. And then, of course, there's me. So you'll see me on camera. You'll also see a picture of me. Not only am I on the education team, I'm very purposely on the education team because I have an ileostomy. I've had my ileostomy for 6 years. And my ileostomy came about because I had ulcerative colitis. I had been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis at 12 years old. For 12 years. I got diagnosed in my early 20s. But, I've been having issues since I had a very young childhood. I had bowel surgery for the first time at 3 years old. So, I always like to joke with my friends and my family that I was just at the end of the line when on quality control when they were handing out digestive systems, and I got one that was really bad. And sometimes you get a lemon, sometimes you get a clunker. That's all right. I've had most of it removed. I just have my small bowel and my stomach left. And I'm actually doing amazing. I'm being the parent that I can want to be. I'm being the spouse that I want to be. I'm being I've been able to rejoin my career after taking such a long time away. So, I'm so privileged to be here today with you all to talk about diet because I've been there myself, and I want to make sure that people who are a few steps behind me on the road are able to have a less bumpy journey, fewer missteps, fewer trips. And that's why I'm glad to be here today. So let's dive in. Nutrition 101. If you've been here if you're new, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm so glad to see familiar faces. And if you're here today, you have questions about what you can drink, what you can eat, how those things affect you. So we're here to answer those questions for you. I'm in my home office here in beautiful sunny San Jose. And I've been a part of Better Health for about a year and a half. And, I want to give you a caveat before we begin. A lot of this information is kind of ostomy specific, meaning, what you can eat or what you can drink depends a lot on the type of ostomy that you have. So, for example, if you have a urostomy, if that means that your ostomy is connected to your kidney through your ureters, then the general advice is that you can eat and drink what you like. The difference is for people who have a colostomy or an ileostomy, you should know that your body, the foods in your body will leave your body more quickly. So that means that your digestion is affected, your ability to absorb nutrients is affected. And you should also know that absorption rate and that change rate might change over time as you heal and your body adapts and your bowel adapts. So right after surgery, you might have a different diet in 2, 4, 6 weeks out versus 6 years later where you can have a very normal unaltered diet. So the big reason to know is ostomies, as I mentioned, they affect the changes to digestion, not only about absorption of nutrients, but also the exit is smaller. So that means that in an unaltered anatomy, your ostomy, your food is going to leave your body through your anus and your rectum. And that that space can contract and expand to accommodate bowel movements through them. With an ostomy, an ileostomy or a colostomy, that food is not going to be able to, some of that food is not going to be able to fit out of your new, smaller opening. that you don't have a sphincter there that can expand and contract. So food particles need to be able to fit through that opening. The other reason that your digestion, I just went over the new exit, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Another reason that your diet is different after your ostomy is that you have greater fluid loss. So here's a fun fact. We need about 12 to 15 cups of fluid a day, water, drinks, coffee, sodas, what have you, whatever you're drinking. And some of that fluid also comes from the food that we eat, but we usually use a lot of fluid in our bodies to manage digestion. And then after we have that, our bodies have digested the food, we usually reabsorb that fluid into our bodies, and we use it elsewhere. However, with an ostomy, that fluid is not able to be reabsorbed, especially if you're missing your whole colon, like I am, or missing your whole large bowel, which is the primary place where fluid is reabsorbed. Instead, that fluid leaves your body just as is, and it's not reabsorbed. So, we need to make sure that we're replacing that fluid that our body needs elsewhere because it's not reabsorbing the fluid that it uses in digestion. The good news is, though, that you can still eat many of the same foods that you love with an ostomy. You just might have to make minor adjustments. So what does a minor adjustment mean? Well, it means meal planning. So the key to meal planning is that you want to keep your digestive system active. So the reason you want to keep it active is because if it is active, it's going to keep food moving through the process and out of your body. But if food sits in your body, you're more likely to have like gas buildup or constipation, or maybe some irritation because you can only contain so much food, and you might feel a little bloating. So all of that could lead to pouch ballooning, or overfull pouches, or even on occasion leading to a blockage. So you want to keep that food moving through your body and out into your pouch, because there could be some really nasty complications. So to break it down a little more, there are two parts of meal planning, right after surgery and right after and later on after you've gone pretty far down the road on the healing process. So meal planning right after surgery. Well, you want to eat a low residue, low fiber diet. So especially if you've just had bowel surgery, they're probably going to be putting you on a whole liquid diet. And I've been there too. And I would say that like some of the best meals of my life have been when I finally got to drink and drink my dinner, the beef broth and the jello and the frozen popsicle desserts and the fruit juices and even the coffee. And then after that, they might step you up to a low fiber, low residue diet. So those are things like oatmeal and mashed potatoes and eggs, scrambled eggs, things that are really easy to digest, things that don't make the bowel work very hard because of course you've just been through bowel surgery. And also these are things that won't sit in the bowel, they'll move out pretty quickly. So they allow the intestines to do their healing thing. High residue, high fiber diets, these are diets that were often recommended, throughout our lives is something that promotes good overall health. And they do. Fruits, vegetables, all those things, people are recommended to eat more of those than they are the highly processed foods that actually it might be more beneficial to us as ostomates right after surgery. So you want to avoid these high fiber, high residue diets. And I can tell you from experience, I've had several bowel surgeries, and I tried once to have some pizza with a lot of vegetables on it after surgery. It did not go well. My stomach rejected it, and it was a very messy, very overfull bag that I had to clean up, and it smelled horrible. So I'm sure there are a lot of people here in the audience who can relate. You just want to make sure that your bowel isn't working too hard. All right, so progress. you have gotten about 6 weeks after your surgery, you're feeling better, maybe your appetite is starting to return. So, now is some time to maybe adjust what you're eating, introduce some new things. Um, again, focus on that balanced diets. Um, don't force yourself to eat. The smaller, more frequent meals are really important because they go back to that keeping your digestive system active, and keeping things flowing through it. And then, of course, if you have 2 or 3 big ones through the day, that food might just sit there. So one of the things that we've heard a lot, and I'm an ostomy coach in the peer coaching program that you might have heard me mention, or you might have read about on our website or on Facebook, is that I hear from my coachees that sometimes their families aren't very supportive about their meal planning. They might their families might encourage them to stick to the 3 square meals a day. Don't be afraid to be an advocate for yourself. Don't be afraid to say, hey, yeah, I'd love to join you for meals, but I'm just going to eat a little bit, and I'm going to eat a little bit later on because it makes me feel more comfortable, and it's what is best for my own health. So, sometimes I know my grandmas want to feed me, my aunts want to feed me, but I say, I'll take a plate now, I'll take a small plate now, and then I'll take some to go. Um, One of the other things that I hear from people, in my coaching sessions is that suddenly they have huge cravings for salt and for sugar, and that's very normal. Salt is a very important electrolyte, and we get it from our food, we get it from our diets. But salt is also one of the first things that leaves the body through the fluid that we pass uh, when we're having a bowel movement and food moves into our pouches. Um, if you have a craving, it's usually the body sending a signal that you need more salt, but this is not a carte blanche to go out and go crazy and eat a whole bag of potato chips. I'm talking more about keeping a handful of pretzels on your, available to you, or keeping a small bag of potato chips so that you can have that salt replacement in a moderated and useful way, and you're not sort of inundating your body with a whole bunch of salt. And then, until you know how your body responds to digestion after your ostomy surgery, it's a good idea to keep snacks on hand. One of the things that I like to do is I keep a little pouch. It's kind of in the reflective glare here, but in my pouch, I have, snacks, and I have some peanut butter, and I have some electrolyte drink placements that I'll tell you about more in a moment. And I just keep these in my purse because, sometimes there's unexpected, your digestion system might be unexpected, and you need to kind of replenish nutrients or food uh, uh, when you weren't planning to. So it's a good idea to keep some snacks on hand. So hydration is the other side of the coin when it comes to your ostomy and to your diet. As I mentioned, some people think about just food with your diet, but your hydration is equally important, especially, again, as you lose that extra fluid through digestion when you have a colostomy or when you have an ileostomy. As I mentioned, I have this little packet here with my snacks. I also keep in it something called drip drops. These are, let me make sure I get it in front of the camera. These are available in little packets that you can slip in your purse, in your bag, in your wallet even, and they're a rehydration mixture. Sometimes I get complacent and I don't think I need to be rehydrated, and I'll say, well, for the heck of it, maybe I do need some extra hydration. And I will add one of these packets to 8 ounces of water. That's how you mix it up together. And then 20 minutes later, after I've drunk the mixture, I feel 100 times better. So sometimes we're dehydrated and we may not even be aware of it. So I would keep that in mind. And then also, after ostomy surgery, many of us still experience irritable bowel disease. If symptoms of irritable bowel disease, if if bowel disease was the reason for our ostomy surgery. So that might include things like diarrhea or vomiting. And so, that's just even more reason to make sure that you are staying hydrated. So signs of dehydration: dark urine, passing your urine less frequently, or feeling lightheaded or headachy, general weakness. Really, my first recommendation is always make sure you drink some water, lie down for 10 minutes and see if that doesn't solve the problem. There are so many options for rehydration drinks, so you're not just limited to Gatorade or Pedialyte, which are very common, but also contain a lot of sugar. Coconut water is an excellent option, and an option that's widely available now. It's become a very popular drink. V8 juice is also great. Milk and orange juice are other options. I don't have them on here, but there are quite a few ways to get rehydrated that are very convenient. Okay, so we talked a lot about putting food into our bodies. Let's talk about what's coming out of our bodies. And I'm gonna take a quick drink here, keep my throat, keep me hydrated. And speaking of hydration, here's a funny story. My husband always teases me because at the end of the day, I have like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 cups gathered together on the counter. Right now I have my just regular drink. This is just water with some like flavor added to it. I have my water bottle from my workout this morning that I drained. You can't really see, but it's pretty much empty. I have my coffee cup over here. So I'm constantly drinking fluid throughout the day. So I really can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that you're bringing in fluids as well as, keeping your meal plans in alignment. Okay. Blockages are a big problem for people with ostomies. They can occur for people who have ileostomies. They can occur with people who have colostomies. And basically what a blockage is, it can happen in 2 ways. Sometimes there is a twist in the bowel, which is out of our control in terms of managing it, and something that needs immediate medical attention. Another way of blockages occurring is if you have food particles that have kind of created what's called a food bolus. It just means a big ball of food that's sitting behind your ostomy, your bowel wall, and it can't move through the ostomy opening itself. And this can be a result of having too much fiber in your vegetables or your fruits. It can be a result of like eating nuts or skins on baked potatoes. It can be a result of other foods that just haven't digested very well, like corn. So, so with that in mind, and that's a good reason for making sure you chew your food really well and you eat that low fiber diet. There are things that you can try at home before seeking medical attention, but never hesitate to seek medical attention. I myself have had 2 blockages, which I needed to be hospitalized for. So let me, reinforce for you how important it is to seek medical attention if the things that are on the screen don't help. So some gentle massaging of the abdomen can sometimes help the ostomy, break up that food bolus and help it move through. A warm shower or warm bath can also help. They can help the muscles relax. Sometimes with food blockages, there can be a lot of pain, stabbing pain. So those are some options. Gentle stretching or short walks around the house or around the block. Those things can again help help your bowels kind of lengthen or and smooth out and help them sort out that food bolus. Or some warm drinks like tea or broth. Again, that's adding fluid to help break up that food bolus too. So there's a couple of really useful methods for managing what you might suspect to be a blockage. But, again, do not hesitate to go to the ER. Once I discovered that I had a blockage, I said, hello, I'm Siobhan, I have an ostomy, and I suspect that I have a blockage in my bowel. And those are the words that I used, and they got me very, very prompt treatment because they recognize that having a blocked bowel can be, can have life-threatening complications. All right. Other end of the other end of the spectrum is what is too much output. What it feels like, and it can be like just having a whole lot of watery output. Maybe it's can be like smelling bad. Maybe your ostomy bag is filling up more than usual. And sometimes what happens is that I have like people say, I don't know if I am having diarrhea or not. And what I will say is I don't know either. I suspect I've probably had diarrhea, but with an ileostomy, things are always happening. So sometimes I just have a lot of watery output just because I'm eating, I've had a meal and my body is doing its thing. So if you think that you might have diarrhea, please talk to your doctor about which diarrhea medicines are safe to take, because some of them are actually not okay to take for people who have an ostomy. If you think you are having too much output, and especially in the beginning when you first had ostomy surgery, that output can be a lot. Try and keep track of how much you're putting in and how much you're putting out. Sometimes, they don't match up, and that can be a signal that something's wrong and it's time to seek medical attention. And then one of my favorite ways to slow down if I'm having too much watery output is to add some marshmallows to my diet. So this is gonna sound crazy. This is one of those, one easy trick that sounds like a scam that you might read about on the internet. But this one easy trick actually works for a lot of folks. May not work for everyone, but eating 2 or 3 marshmallows can kind of add some bulk, and it can help slow down that output so that you can kind of get back into control and add a little bit more food and get things back on a more even keel. All right, pancaking. So pancaking is what happens when your output is sticking around the top of your stoma, around the top of your bag, and not falling down into your bag. And the reason pancaking can happen is, well, for several reasons. Pancaking can happen when your output is very dry and sticky, so you might try increasing hydration there. Pancaking can happen because your appliance may not be quite right for you. So if sometimes people might need a different type of ostomy barrier than what they're using because their stoma doesn't stick out. And if your stoma doesn't stick out far enough, then that output can't fall down into the bag, and that creates the issue of pancaking. Pancaking can also help if you're reclining a lot. Lots of folks need to spend a lot of time in bed, just healing from incisions and that sort of thing. So if it's possible to sit up or move to a chair, that can help, or roll to your right side or to a different side, that can help that output fall down into the bag. Another trick that I like to do with pancaking is by creating more room in the bag. So there's this trick that you can do if you have a two-piece. It might be a little bit harder with a one-piece system where the bag and the barrier are connected. But with a two-piece system, you just take a piece of tissue right here. I have some tissue that I rolled up. And then what you do is you put it around the top of the bag. So I have a closed ostomy bag here that you can see. I've added the tissue into the top curve of the bag. And what this does is just 2 things. It creates more room for the stoma to have the output fall down. And then it also blocks the output from getting into that area around the top of the bag where it could sit in pancake. And now pancaking can lead to leaks as well, because that output is acidic. And if that acidic output is sitting around the stoma and sitting around the top part of the barrier, it's going to eat away at it faster, and then it can sneak under the barrier, get on the skin, and cause skin problems, itchiness, discomfort, and a leak. So you have to go change your pouch. Ballooning. Ballooning is another way to manage your, is another way that often comes. Yes, the tissue is on the inside of the bag. Yes, thank you for that question. You see, I'm just kind of taking it and then putting it inside around the bag, squeezing it in. So yeah, I'm gonna hold it real close to the camera. Can you see my thumb is inside the bag? Here's the back of the bag with the sort of beige material, and then here's the front of the clear bag. All right, ballooning. Oh, good. I'm glad it helped. Ballooning is when your pouch fills up with air, right? And it looks like this, and it's not I don't have a good way of showing it, but yeah. So you wake up and your pouch feels like it's going to pull off your body because it's so full of air, and float away, and create a little poo bomb, and that would be bad. So the ballooning can be reduced in several ways, and you know, you can avoid carbonated drinks. You know, carbonation has gas in it, and we're already ingesting a lot of gas just by breathing and by chewing and eating. We don't need to add more gas by adding, you know, carbonated drinks like beers and sodas. Although I'll be totally transparent here, and I definitely need my Diet Coke in the afternoon sometimes. I avoid straws. They also can add air into your system, and you'll be like, Siobhan, you're such a hypocrite because you have a straw on your desk with your drink. And yes, it's a little bit of a hypocrisy, but I'm a klutz and I have a bunch of like expensive camera equipment and microphones and keyboards. So I try to be safe with my drinks on the desk. And then of course you can eat fewer gas-inducing foods. Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, all of those things will contribute to gas in your pouch overnight. Now, these might reduce your gas overnight, but I don't know that it will ever just eliminate the problem altogether. You know, I have tried all of these different different tips, and definitely they've reduced my gas. But I think the fact of the matter is that if you have a colostomy or if you have an ileostomy, your body's just going to pass that gas through. There's no avoiding it. So, you know, just be aware that you might want to burp the end of your pouch sometimes before you go to bed. Make sure you empty it. Or, you know, sometimes you have to wake up in the middle of the night and burp it. I think that's just a fact of life with an ostomy. But, you know, like I said, there are some things that can help reduce it. Okay, so we're getting toward the end of our presentation. I have some key takeaways for you, and then we're going to open up to some questions and do some questions and answering. So I see some folks have already asked some questions in the chat and in the Q&A, and I applaud you. Thank you for doing that. The biggest takeaway that I want you to leave today, if you only can remember 3 things from all of the information that I've thrown in your laps today, is that good nutrition, balancing diets, balancing food, you know, balancing the good stuff, the vegetables, the fruits, the rices, the mashed potatoes, the whole grains, the lean proteins like fish and chicken, turkey. All of those things are going to help you heal faster and help you continue to feel better. And so you can get back to your life after your ostomy surgery. Good hydration is going to mean that you feel more alert, that you have a better experience with your ostomy, and that your body can function the way that it needs to and pass the output out so that you don't have issues with blockages or pancaking. You know, get to know what normal feels like for you. You know, keep track of your output. I know that some folks have a hard time with their output, with either draining their pouches or changing out their their pouches, if they're using like a closed ostomy bag. It's okay. It's okay to feel not comfortable draining your pouch. It's okay to be grossed out by it. It's okay to feel like you're always cleaning the toilet. I mean, I know in my house, I'm always cleaning the toilet. Um, that's okay. But it's also very, very necessary for you to be able to keep track of your output, even if you're just looking down and noting what you put into the toilet, because that is a huge indicator of your health, right? If it's too watery, or if it's too loose, or if it's just right for you. And then listen to your body. You know your body best. You're the one who has to live with your ostomy. You're the one who has to take care of your stoma. For, I would say, 95% of the people with ostomies, you're the one changing the bag. So if something doesn't feel right, or if you notice skin issues, reach out to your medical professional for guidance. Or even better, sometimes it's hard to get in to see a doctor. You can always schedule a coaching session with us here at Better Health. And the benefits of coaching is that you're talking to somebody who has an ostomy too. You might be talking to me, you might be talking to one of my amazing co-coaches. We all have ostomies. We've been there. We are open to any question about sexuality, about products, about just coping, returning to work, dressing. If you have a colostomy, if you're irrigating, some of these questions may not be your medical professional may not have the knowledge or the right resources to explain and help you live this sort of practical everyday thing with you. So that's why the coaching really comes in, and it's a one session. It's free. You get 30 minutes with us as coaches. I believe Ariha will put the link now for the coaching session into our chat, so you can just click right on that. And we've had a lot of coaching sessions lately that have been filling up. So this week we just had some opportunity this coming week to open some of those up. So please go in and grab those. You could really, this program is taking off, and we have a lot of demand. So definitely take advantage of the fact that we have some free time coming up this next week. So you could sign up for a coaching session if you like. So now my colleague Ariha is going to open up the floor. She's going to unmute everybody and allow you to talk. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. You can put your question in the Q&A section or in the chat section. I know it's kind of confusing, but feel free to use either one. I have all the windows open. And then I will look for your questions. And I'm going to take another drink. Oh, okay, I see. Somebody just sent me a question privately, and question was about nuts. So nuts are case dependent. So if you have something like diverticulitis, that's the reason you have your ostomy, I believe that it's highly recommended that you don't eat things like nuts or small seeds, strawberries, things that could get into those pockets and cause irritation and any other complications. As well as if you don't have diverticulitis and you have a more or less healthy colon and small bowel, large bowel, it's okay to try a small amount of those nuts and see if they're working for you. So I chew them really well. I've noticed my output usually contains some pieces of the nuts that I ate. That's normal. I just want to make sure, it just reminds me that I will be eating, I should be chewing better. Anita, thanks for coming again. We love having you, and we'll see you the next time. Anita is one of our favorites, favorite repeat visitors. In the differences between, and somebody just asked me the difference between constipation versus a full blockage versus a partial blockage. So these are very case dependent. With constipation, for instance, with a colostomy, constipation with a colostomy might be resolved through irrigation, which is basically kind of an enema for the large bowel. And it's similar. It has the same effect of doing an enema with an unaltered anatomy system. So it will just produce a bowel movement. If you have a partial blockage, usually means it will resolve on its own. So a partial blockage might be a food bolus that can where things can still pass through, liquid can still pass around it, or maybe you might have a partial blockage of the intestines because they're kind of twisted on each other. Sometimes you know that you have a blockage, something feels wrong. Sometimes you just have no idea, but if you do notice that you've had some output that has changed in terms of lesser, you're still having output, but it's lesser, or it's starting to smell bad, or it's kind of painful coming out, that might indicate a partial blockage. And then with a full blockage is a case where you really need that medical attention right away, because you're not passing any stool, and you're not passing, and you might be not passing any liquid. And with a full blockage, either, with the bowel, you may not notice it right away, but with a full blockage that's caused by the stoma, that's caused by food, you might see your stoma swelling. You might not notice any output for a number of hours. Okay, I've had an ileostomy for 20 years, and I've tried many tricks, and I still struggle with nighttime accidents. Any tips? So you're not the only one who still has nighttime accidents. I had 2 just last week, and I'm sorry they happen. One of the basic things that you can do with nighttime accidents is, I think that we just have to recognize they're going to happen to us, and we can do things to put down on our bed, like put down like sheet mattress protectors or sheet protectors, towels. If you're having a lot of accidents, it might be time to evaluate your ostomy system and see why it might not be holding in, withstanding withstanding nighttime bowel movements. Another thing is that with nighttime accidents, evaluate the time that you're eating. Oftentimes people might eat really late at night. And if you're eating late at night, that means your digestive system is going to be active later at night. So if that's the case, then you're going to have a bowel movement and it's going to fill up. So if you can, try to eat your biggest meal earlier in the day, and eat a smaller dinner, and eat that dinner earlier in the evening, so that your digestive system has finished its work. It's gone through and it's output, it's output into your pouch, or it's moved into the colon, where it will rest and be kind of quiescent, be quiet for a while. And then, again, Ms. Squidley, oh, yeah, I answered part 2 of your question, I see. Yes, a good cutoff time. I usually aim for 3 or more hours before bedtime to stop eating. And again, if your pouch is not withstanding that pressure at the nighttime, if it's blowing out, do what you can to reduce that gassy foods, carbonated beverages. Do what you can to, actually what you can do is to set up a coaching appointment with us, and we can talk about specifically what's happening. Sometimes if you have a leak in a specific place under the barrier, we can try one approach. If you're having a bag that's not getting, not filtering out some of that gas, we can try a different approach. So there's a range of options. Any other questions? All right. Oh, you just, oh, good. You have, I'm Squidly. I'm so glad to hear that you changed to a different product line and you're having success. That is the best feeling. I know nobody likes to have their night sleep is interrupted by having to get up and empty their pouch. And, we all deserve a really good sleep. So I'm so glad to hear that. And the moment I'm not seeing any other, Any other questions?
I just have a comment.
Oh, sure.
Pancaking is a new term I learned today. I do have pancaking, and yet I think I'm drinking enough liquids.
So if you're having pancaking and you feel like your your fluid intake is good, sometimes it just happens if you're eating more fibrous foods. Another option that I forgot to mention earlier is to add some lubricating deodorant or just lubricating drops to your pouch. You can do that if you have a 2-piece pouch. You basically just, it's like a little, squeeze bottle. You just drop a few mutts in and you massage it around the pouch. If you have an open pouch like this, a drainable pouch, how do I open this one? This is not my usual one. This is a sample that I got. So, okay, here we go. Gonna have to squeeze the bottom. You can add the drops to the bottom of the pouch. No, okay. Pretend this part is open. There's no pressure. There's nothing inside the pouch to put pressure on it. You add the drops then and you massage it around the pouch. You can also, if you do find yourself pancaking, you can just manually push that on the outside of the pouch. You can just manually use your fingers to push that output down and into the pouch and away from the stoma, because it's very important to keep that output away from sitting on the stoma because it can cause skin problems.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming back. All right. So I didn't notice, Ariha, had you put up the poll yet?
You should, people should see it on their screens right now. It's only 2 questions, so it should be very quick. This would really help us out if you could all answer these 2 questions.
And then, on a final note, while you're answering those questions, you will see on this last slide a little cover of our Ostomy booklet that we send out afterwards. So this booklet doesn't contain the slides. We send those separately. We'll also, but you can have the slides afterwards as well. But the booklet contains like all of the sort of an overview of all of the information that I covered today. Feel free to download it and print it out, put it on your refrigerator, pass it to your friends, give it to your grandkids, whatever. Let the dog eat your homework. It's fine. But it does serve as a reminder, a helpful reminder, because I know as I get older, I definitely need things printed out to give me visual cues and reminders to follow instructions. So everyone, thank you so very, very much for
Sorry,
coming
Siobhan,
today.
I think we have a raised hand from
Oh, we
Phyllis.
do. Oh, I apologize.
Oh, you put a poll up, but which is the 1 to 8? What is the best and what is which one are you most likely to recommend or least likely?
It's 1 to 10, Phyllis, and number 1 is the least likely to recommend. Number 10 is the most likely to
Okay,
recommend.
it doesn't say that. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for asking for clarification.
I thought, well, I could have chose 1 and then you'd be in trouble. You'd be out of a job, Sean.
Do we have all the polls back, Uriha?
We have most of them, I think. So maybe any last questions? I see a Squidly with a hand raised. Did you have a question? No, maybe not. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.